Till versus Masvidal strikes me as compelling for a couple of different reasons. And, don't forget, guys, we've said short-term memories, but don't forget, you guys are no different than me. Don't act like you come to the party and go, I've been calling Darren Till from the very beginning. No, you didn't. None of us know who Darren Till was. Darren Till not only goes out and beats Cowboy Cerrone, but he beats him in a main event of a fight that many people didn't think he should have. You guys will remember Brendan Schaub even coming out before the fight and saying, why would Cowboy even give a fight to this guy, Darren Till? It's a very fair point by Brendan, and a lot of us thought it too. Darren Till puffed up and pushes back. He goes, hey, by the way, Brendan, even if you haven't seen me on a television set near you, if you go look at my record, I am 15-0. I haven't made very many mistakes in this sport. Fair point by Darren Till. But we still didn't know who he was. He burst onto the scene in a couple of minutes against Cowboy. I would offer to you, while I was just impressed as all of you were with Darren Till's skills, they were a little bit unique. From his stance to his stand-up to his footwork, it was a little bit unique. Where with some time and some video and some footage, maybe guys could game plan a little bit better for him. The reason I slip that in is because when you look at George Masvidal, this is a stand-up fighter. So many of you guys have only been exposed to George Masvidal in the cage and in MMA. Sure, he wrestles and grapples well. Sure, he does all that, but he's a stand-up guy at heart. The Darren Till puzzle is a very tough one for me to solve. I will tell you as a fellow fighter, as I break down Darren Till, I would then need to bring in somebody better than me. I'd have to call Coach Clayton. Go, okay, how are you going to deal with this guy on his feet? I will admit to you I would have to do that, but I would suspect for you that Masvidal won't. That is the song that he sings. That is the game that he plays. And Darren Till, as good as he is on his feet, and I think that Till has some meaningful advantages in this fight. Size, right off the bat, size being a very obvious one. But I think when you look at the matchup, I think you're in for a lot more fun, more competitive fight than some of the odds makers do. I also maintain for you that there is no such thing as a home field advantage in MMA. It's true in football. It's true in baseball. It's the opposite in MMA. And I can even tell you why. First off, the pressures of having to take your shirt off and go fight in front of your classmates and friends and neighbors who you've been telling for as long as they'll listen how tough you are, and now you got to go prove it. You also, this is going to sound like a weird one. You get hit up for tickets nonstop. When you are fighting at home, everybody's going to want to come and everybody thinks that you have tickets and you're the guy. That may sound like it's not a pressure or a stress, but it is. And then you're going to take it on. You're going to do the, oh, no, I'm all out of tickets. And then you're going to say, yeah. And then you got to try to organize that and get all the logistics. And that never stops. The people wanting and looking for tickets will go up until fight day. Eventually, you will have to turn your phone off. You will be headed to the arena, to the locker room, and you will still be getting text messages from people who are looking to come down the show and think you've just got these magical tickets you can put at will call. He then is also going to have a very real media schedule that is going to greatly surpass that of his opponent, Masvidal. So while Masvidal has to get on an airplane and go out there and deal with the time change, which is very real, Darren Till is the one that's going to have to be burning the candles at both ends, getting up and doing the radio interviews, getting up and doing the appearances. He's just the one that's going to be getting requests. So the UFC is going to say yes to those requests. They're then going to go out and fish for some on their own. Try to generate and cultivate their own media opportunities. To which a lot of people are going to say yes, but a lot more people are going to say yes to Darren Till than they do to George Masvidal, purely based on the geographical location of the fight. I realize it could sound like I'm making more about the location than is justified, but I will remind you guys, it was 2 fights ago that Till fought at home. It was a very, very close fight, okay, with Wonder Boy. And not only that, but he happened to miss weight. He missed weight while fighting at home. Wonder Boy flew all the way out there, had to deal with not having a car and knowing locations and maps and where am I going to find a sign, and still got it done. So it's a very real thing, and it's not a knock against Till. It's just there is some truth to the statement that I'm making to you. There is no such thing as a home cage advantage. It just doesn't carry over like it does other sports. I also think when you look for an intangible, that Darren Till, because of all the things going in his favor, is also going to have a certain pressure. Don't forget, he was just the number one contender. And he's a bright, rising talent who I expect to be a number one contender again, fighting at home in the marquee spot, trying to defend his ground in his weight class. Masvidal, none of that's so. I don't even know if you put Masvidal at a welterweight. I mean, it could be 5-6 weeks from now. He'll take a fight, pop back down to 155. I just think there's a lot of pressures that aren't on him, and a little too much gets made of pressure. I don't use that term over here a whole bunch, but one thing that pressure is a very real thing. It just doesn't affect you the way that some people will make you think that it does. But one thing that pressure will do is it will create fatigue. That's what people don't ever take the time to then explain when they go, oh, he's dealing with pressure. Okay, who the hell cares? Diamonds dealt with pressure. What's bad? What's wrong with that? Well, let me answer it for you in a little bit more colloquial terms. It makes you tired faster. Think about sports that you guys did, whatever sport it could be. Think about PE class. Whatever you're doing, it's anaerobic, you're getting your heart rate up. You go do that 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes. No problem. No questions asked. Then on game day, maybe you can do it for 7 or 8 minutes. And then the coach pulls you out and lets you get a breather and then sends you back in. How come you could do it for an hour every day in practice, but now on game day you can only do it for a matter of minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, 7 or 8 minutes? How come? Well, I'll answer the question for you. Stress, fatigue, pressure. They're all the same thing. They all work hand in hand against you. So the reason I'm bringing up pressure in this contest specifically is because it is a 5-round atmosphere. A lot of guys will have pressure. They will underperform due to the pressure, or they will go out there and perform in spite of the pressure. Some of the elites, LeBron James may be a great example. It actually elevates him. He prefers that. He prefers the spotlight. Great. Wherever you sit on that, great. But let me explain to you what we're talking about when you hear somebody tell you about pressure. All they're talking about is a stress that creates a fatigue earlier than it would set in if you didn't have that stress creating that fatigue. That's all we're talking about. So I do find it relevant in a 25-minute fight that some of those pressures could weigh in, and I think some of those did weigh in until in his last outing in England. And he looked great, and he took on an awesome opponent, and he got his hand raised. So it's not all darkness here that I'm speaking about, but there does appear to be people that are overlooking Masvidal. Sometimes these things surprise me, guys. As recently as 2 weeks ago, people were overlooking Robbie Lawler. That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Some of you people who are telling me, yeah, Chael, that sounds ridiculous. Some of you guys did it. Some of you guys did it. You overlooked Robbie Lawler in a cage fight. Of all the guys to overlook in a cage fight, Robbie Lawler? Come on. But we seem to do that, and now I'm seeing that happen to Masvidal. I'm kind of looking around going, man, do we just have short-term memories or we not been paying attention?